court that specifically deals with tariffs and trade found that Trump's invocation of the tariffs under the Emergency Economic Powers Act was wrong and illicit. That ruling has been stayed for the sake of appeals. In the meantime, Donald Trump, as you know, you played this clip yesterday,
right,
much to my chagrin, because I found this clip to be one of the most fascinating clips of Donald Trump in ages. Donald Trump was asked about this new acronym that is being used by Wall Street traders called TACO, which is Trump always
chickens out.
Chickens out.
It's a chicken taco.
And
I am hungry.
And Trump always chickens out. And apparently that's a taco trade is one where you're basically betting that his promise of imposing tariffs are actually not going to happen. So you buy when certain companies dip because of anticipation for the tariffs, but you're betting that this guy's always going to choke, essentially, and that he's cowardly.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it has actually nothing to do specifically with
digestion,
the food. And it's just the name of it. And so these taco trades, and a reporter made the mistake, obviously you got to do it, asked him about it. And he had, honestly, his reaction, we won't play it again. You saw it yesterday, I think. He completely falls apart. Completely falls apart. It feels like there's nothing that could set him off more than the idea that he is cowardly and he's chickening out, because his whole thing is bravado. Mm-hmm. And it's not just that, like, it's coming from Wall Street. And there is no doubt in my mind, there is a dynamic between a guy who is a real estate developer in New York and the implication of Wall Street money.
Oh, yeah.
And that relationship between finance and his real estate.
Well, he's obsessed with the stock market, too, right? And he's desperate, I think, always throughout his whole life to be taken seriously by the real money people.
Indeed. And on top of that, like, theoretically, you all remember that we played that video early on this year of him right after he won the election in 2017 or 2016, walking into the 21st Club or whatever it was.
Look, get your taxes down.
And I'm going to get your taxes down. These are his people.
Yeah. And
the fact that they're making fun of him behind his back, this is the thing. And I generally don't buy into, like, Donald Trump's going to be really mad if you retweet this meme. But this is different, because this is not, he's orange or his hair is whatever.
And it's also, unfortunately, creating the wrong incentives for him, because it's trying to get him to engage clearly in more like risky, destructive tariff negotiations to create more uncertain. Like, why are we egging him on with this?
Well,
is the question.
Here's the thing is that, like, I am of the mind that you don't back down because you're afraid that he's going to do something crazy, because that's exactly what he wants. However, there are consequences to that. Scott Bessant went on the yesterday and on Fox News to talk about the supposed negotiations with China. And the bottom line is China basically said to us, F you. We don't need you.
Yeah.
We're not going to bend to your demands. We're just not. You want to end this relationship? End it. And here's Scott Bessant, who, a week or two ago was saying, like, we got this. We got so many deals on the table. And here he is today. He's got a signal to his business friends. That's what's going on here.
Right.
And what about China, specifically China, and that obviously started in a different place. How can you characterize those talks now?
I would say that they are a bit stalled. I believe that we will be having more talks with them in the next few weeks, and I believe we may at some point have a call between the president and party chair Xi.
So stalled. There was a time when the president thought that it was moving forward pretty significantly.
Again, I think that given the magnitude of the talks, given the complexity, that this is going to require both leaders to weigh in with each other. They have a very good relationship, and I am confident that the Chinese will come to the table when President Trump makes his preferences known.
All right, so let me go.
Okay, wait. No, just first off, I'd like to see him when he's exuding not confidence. He thinks the talks will start in the next few weeks. He thinks eventually Trump and Xi will talk on the phone. And then he believes that unless they do, nothing's ever going to happen. That is not
leadership.
Well, he clearly is just sitting in the bleachers for this.
They're at the
this
whims
entire thing.
of the Mad King. It just depends on how he rolls over in the morning and what he decides to do. And that's the whole administration is designed to that effect.
Now, the Mad King turns out to also be a coward, both in the fact that he's now been told to his face, you chicken out every time. Basant goes on television yesterday and he's told that he chickens out that happened on Wednesday night, right? And he's fuming. And there's no doubt that he has not slept a wink because of that. And then Basant gets on there and says, basically, I can't do anything. And nobody short of the president can do anything because we can't tell what the president wants us to do.
Right.
And so he's fuming. He's mad that he's getting mocked by people on Wall Street. And this is what he comes out with. There's two things he actually came out with. One, he came out going after Leonard Leo because Leonard Leo had promised him, if you choose my judges, they'll never go against you. And it was a Trump-appointed judge who went against him on the tariffs.
It was a 3-judge panel, Reagan, Trump, and Obama, unanimous, that went against this, just the emergency authority with the 1977 law. So we said this yesterday, but the aluminum and steel tariffs that affect the auto industry, they were used under a more traditional authority where you have to apply and then seek public comment. But the schizophrenic Liberation Day tariffs are the ones that are affected by this.
And a huge portion of the Chinese tariffs are part of this sort of Liberation Day. And okay, so this is where he goes after Leonard Leo and he refers to them. I mean, he says, the U.S. Court of International Trade incredibly ruled against the United States of America and desperately need tariffs, but fortunately the full 11-judge panel on the U.S. Court of Appeals has stayed the order by the Manhattan-based Court of International Trade. The implication, of course, that this has something to do with the fact that it's in Manhattan, other than the fact that, Manhattan's probably the center of where these trade deals are actually executed. Where do these initial 3 judges come from? How is it possible for them to have potentially done such damage for the United States of America? They all 3 come from America. And as Emma said, Reagan and
Trump and Obama.
I was new to Washington. It was suggested I used the Federalist Society as a recommending source on judges. I did so openly and freely, and then realized they were under the thumb of a real sleazebag named Leonard Leo.
Let's go.
A bad person who in his own way probably hates America and obviously has his own separate ambitions. We'll go through this in a bit. But so what does Trump do? Then today, he says 2 weeks ago, China was in grave danger. The very high tariffs I set made it virtually impossible for China to trade, in capital letters, I don't know why, into the United States marketplace, which is by far number one in the world. We went, in effect, cold turkey with China, and it was devastating for them. Many factories closed, and there was, to put it mildly, civil unrest. Now, incidentally, all of that is untrue. Yeah. I mean, blatantly untrue. There was no civil unrest in China because
there was a guy who stood in front of a tank with some groceries. That's an old-fashioned word, groceries.
No, Trump's like the guy, like the ex, like, she's definitely not over me. She thinks about me all the time. China's like, we can do this all domestically. We don't care about you. You rely on our cheap goods.
Also,
idiot.
the rest of the world buys from us, too.
Exactly. And then he says, I saw what was happening and I didn't like it. For them, not for us. In other words, I'm a good guy. I'm nice. I saw that. So I made a fast deal with China in order to save them from what I thought was going to be a very bad situation. And I didn't want to see things happen. This is where, like, a significant portion of Republican voters go, Donald Trump is so benevolent. Like, he even shows grace to our Chi-Com and enemies.
I guess we will sacrifice so that China doesn't have civil unrest now.
Right.
Yes. What a good guy. But then they stabbed him in the back. Because of this deal, everyone quickly stabilized and China got back to business as usual. They must have reopened those factories and the civil unrest calmed down. Everybody was happy. That is the good news. The bad news is that China, perhaps not surprisingly to some, has totally violated its agreement with us. So much for being Mr. Nice Guy. In other words, he is backfilling. I didn't get chicken out on the tariffs with China. I helped them out.
Yes.
I was a nice guy.
But this is where we have to, make chicken taco out of chicken shit and create a situation where Trump is like now that we can exploit this fissure with Leonard Leo, right? Trump always chickens out of throwing Leonard Leo into a cold, dark cell.
I think you're overusing the taco metaphor.
Stop trying to make taco work, Evan.
Taco, you're just trying to shove it into every meal.
Trying to shove tacos down my throat.
Taco chicken into chicken shit? What are you saying?
I'm trying to be creative.
So folksy.
Chicken salad out of chicken shit. That's the phrase. Chicken taco out of chicken shit. There is no judgment in brainstorming, and I really feel like my creativity
We
is
should
being
do this
stifled.
before the show.
It's like legalized comedy.
Hey, folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every day at 12 p.m. Eastern for about 2.5 hours. We even take phone calls. You should check that out.